I'd stick to what you're doing. Love to know what's so funny. I ain't laughing.
Take it easy. Take it easy, Jim.
There is no take it easy.
Relax, okay?
Okay, I'll relax once I'm done.
Toast, toast, toast. Hey, James.
Frank?
Lucas?
Yes.
Is Lucas E. Rojas there in the house?
Yes, I am.
All right. Okay, so we're it's 9 o'clock and we're gonna get started. I'm sure the eyes of the wrestling world is watching the great debate. What's so funny, Lucas?
I'm just ready to go.
Oh, really? Okay. And briefly explain why you wanted to partake in this debate.
Who, me or Jim?
You.
I wanted to take part in this debate because I've noticed since I joined the One Wrestling news page that Jimmy has been mouthing off about the product in regards to, I don't even know what his gripe is. I guess it's with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, is that correct? He believes.
Well, what's all right? Just what's your hope for this debate? Why what's your hope after this debate?
I'm just here to have fun, man. Hopefully, after the debate, Jimmy has some sense about the product and what the company is all about right now. I mean, that's pretty much all I want to point across to him is that, you know, everything he's believing about the WWE and how it should be, it's just his vision, but it's not. You know, it's not the reality. His vision is his vision. It's not the reality of what he says it is. You know, that's his mind. Okay, that's his mind, and he needs to relax.
It's his opinion, you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. It's his opinion.
Okay. All right. So James.
Yeah.
I'm here. Oh, so James, why did you want to partake in this debate?
To shut him up.
To shut him up. What has he been saying?
He's been pestering, and he's been basically acting like a 10-year-old, constantly pestering me to do this debate. So I decided, you know what? I could kill two birds with one stone. I could take someone who apologizes for how the WWE does business, make them look silly, get my point across. Two birds, one stone, and I have a good night's sleep. So I figured, why not?
Now, James, just to, because subsequently, I volunteered to become the moderator of this debate because, quite frankly, you guys are very
volatile,
passionate. I guess we'll use passionate. Okay, so James, do you feel that this has been a personal attack on you? As
I just feel like he's been trying to break balls, so now it's his turn.
You've accused several people on the page, Lucas being one of the newer members and one of the oldest members, Nick Durst, of being trolls. Why do you feel they're trolls?
Well, I think that Nick Durst is a troll because how else could someone constantly put over how WWE does business when they've clearly been not growing their audience, when they have
hold on, I'm saying why I'm saying on the page, why do you think when they post something they're trolling you?
I think that 9 times out of 10, Durst, he has to be a troll.
Wait a minute, can I reiterate?
Hold on.
This is not even a debate here.
No, wait, the debate hasn't started. We're just
Well, I'm trying to explain, but you keep interrupting me.
Okay, that'll be my job, James. I'm the moderator.
I understand that, but you're asking me a question, and I'm trying to
go ahead, answer it.
Because of the things that he says. How can you be? First of all, he makes statements like Stone Cold Steve Austin's the most selfish top guy in history, which anyone with half a
Well,
brain.
we're not going for examples. I'm just saying you feel that. So what you're saying is that their
The
statement,
things that he says, he has to be a troll.
their statements are so to you, they're so
Thomas
ridiculous.
Thomas James has to be a troll, because how could you say that John Cena drew more money than Hulk Hogan or Steve Austin? You either have to be.
So to you, James, they are so. These statements are so ridiculous to you that you feel it's a troll job, and you don't even take these statements serious. That's what you're saying. Okay, Lucas, is this true?
First of all, Jimmy, how can anybody be a troll for stating their opinion? Are you out of your mind? Are you ridiculous? It's an opinion. Nick has his thoughts. I have my thoughts. And people are trolls for that? What? You want to censor everybody? Only your opinion matters? Can I call you a troll then? Can I call... Wait.
One at a time. One at a time.
Can I call you a troll then? Because what you have been posting is nonsense. But I don't call you a troll for that. You are not allowed to call people trolls. You cannot call people trolls for having their opinions and their mindsets on the WWE. And if you have a problem with other people's opinions, you yourself have a problem. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and fix your ego.
All right. Okay. Well, hold on. Relax.
Now I'd like to retort.
No, this is not part of the debate.
Frank, please.
I'll ask the questions, and I'm in control of this.
Interrupted live on the feed. I haven't.
Okay, so let's try to be civil here, and we'll start the debate.
Well, because he's trying to push buttons, and now he's
in a couple of minutes. And how it'll work is, I'm going to ask one of you a question.
Please. Enough. First of all, I don't begrudge anybody. Frank, let me finish a fucking thought.
We're not. The debate. I'm the moderator.
He got to run his mouth, and he's laughing about it.
The debate hasn't started. Relax.
You got your chance to talk. Frank, did he have his chance to talk? Yes, he did, right?
The debate hasn't started. I'm explaining how the rules are.
You can like whoever you want, but
the debate hasn't started. Be quiet and listen to the rules.
Yes, please.
Order. All right. So how I'm going to do this, and you have to follow the rules. I'm going to ask a question to the first person. They'll have 90 seconds to answer, and then the other person, the following person, will answer or give a rebuttal. And then on the next question, I'll start with the second person. Okay? Try to be civil, and we'll start. Okay? And since the first question, James was so rude, we'll give the question to Lucas. The first question, Lucas, does everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
James, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. James, the face of the many viewers are watching this. We'll watch this.
You guys take this for a joke. I take it seriously. That's
I'm not laughing. I'm here to moderate. I call it right down the middle, Daddy.
And keep this little kid in order.
And please keep the insults to yourself. We're here to have a civil debate.
I'm not here to be civil. He had his chance to be civil.
Hey, listen.
Calm down. All right? Calm down.
Okay, we're going to start now, okay? And I'll get my timer, and we'll try to keep this to...
We'll begin sometime next Christmas.
Why? Would you have a hot date?
Be patient, Jimmy.
Yes, I do, with my wife.
Okay. All right, so we'll give 90 seconds. Lucas, the first question is, how has WWE/wrestling changed in the past 5 years? And what do you predict will be a big change in the next 5 to 10 years?
What? Okay, how has WWE changed?
All wrestling changed in the last 5 years, and what do you predict will be another big change in the next 5 to...
Sure. Well, let me answer the first part about the last 5 years and how the business has changed. And I know you're asking me this. It's a good question because I've stated it multiple times.
Remember, you get 90 seconds.
Right. So WWE and wrestling in general has changed within the last 5 years due to how much the product has evolved and grown. And I'm not just talking about WWE's product, the wrestling product as a whole in general, the business. Okay. We're talking about WWE Network. We're talking about the internet, technology, the digital aspect. It has become exposed it has been all thrown out there to the public, to the audience, to be able to take this information and pass it along to everyone else. Wrestling has changed from ratings, from television. It's not even viewed on TV on a weekly basis anymore. It's not the #1 priority. You have so many different aspects.
What do you feel is going to be another change, if any, in the next 5-10 years?
Sure. In the next 5 to 10 years, the biggest change in wrestling is going to be this whole babyface and heel concept, which Jimmy so desperately wants to love and stick to. But here's the thing, that's going to be a very small part of wrestling within the next 5 to 10 years.
Are you done?
Oh, I'm done.
Okay. Well, you had a little more time. Okay, James, you have 90 seconds. You can either rebut him or answer the question.
He was spot on when it came to the internet. He was spot on when it came to the network. It was eventually going to happen with the way Hulu and the way Netflix has kicked it up a notch with things. It was only natural for the WWE to make that next move. In the next 5 to 10 years, one of two things will happen with Vince. Either he will finally come to his senses and retire, or he will croak. And Triple H will finally, hey, listen, I was quiet while you were talking. You could do the same.
Hey, he's just laughing. That's it.
That he's been laughing since we started. And
okay. Well,
so
just answer the question.
One of two things is going to happen. Either Vince is going to finally retire, or he'll croak and Triple H will take over. And hopefully he'll start to move away from the way the writing team has been, when you have 30 people writing, which to me, any normal person could see that's too many cooks in the kitchen.
So you think that's been the biggest change? Is there's too many hands in the cookie jar?
Absolutely. Can I? And I'd like to finish uninterrupted. Thank you. Like Lucas was.
You have your time. Don't worry. I'll give you your time.
So, I think that they have way too many people in the writing committee, and that's only gotten worse as time has gone by. The internet, like he said, has come into play, and instead of adapting to their audiences, they're ignoring them more and more. I don't know if that's a Vince move. I don't know if that's just a company-wide move. But it's a bad move because they're bleeding viewers. And in 5 to 10 years, if they continue down this trajectory, they're going to have even less viewers. And if you think ratings don't matter, when their contracts come up and the ratings are so bad, believe me, whoever it is that they answer to in terms of their television viewership, they will have something to say about that. And I don't think it should have to come to that for them to put their best foot forward as a business.
Okay. All right. Your time's up. Okay. James, we'll move on to the second question. What effect has the WWE Network made on the business?
In terms of it's made it easier for people to watch, which I guess, it is a positive. It's made it easier for people to get in touch with the old stuff. If instead of having a DVD library, you could watch the old stuff at the tip of your fingers. It also has, decreased the amount of money that they make off of the pay-per-views, because instead of paying $59.99, which all of my friends and myself all used to pay to watch, now you pay $9.99 a month. So I don't know how that's affected payoffs. To this day, we still don't know how that's affected payoffs for the wrestlers. There's a lot of content that they could probably have on there that they don't yet. I'm sure they'll get to it because they want as much content as possible. But they better hope that they never have to bring Raw and SmackDown live on the network. That's all I'm going to say. Frank, he's next. I got nothing else to say for this question.
All right, Lucas, go ahead. You got 90 seconds.
Okay, how has the WWE Network affected the WWE? So,
just overall, the sports entertainment wrestling.
Okay, sure. I can talk from a fan perspective because it's what I know. I'm not going to get into the ifs or I don't knows like Jimmy did, but I know from a fan perspective, it has definitely changed the mindset of the viewers who watch the product, right? It like I said earlier, it has exposed to the fans what the business is truly all about from a backstage perspective. When you're talking about the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast and the Chris Jericho podcast, which have both been huge features over the last couple of years on the WWE Network, to bring that out to the public and have these wrestlers and these public figures just talk about the business and break character. I mean, that's really been a game changer. It's really affected the way the business operates and how the fans look at the product. And if you don't believe me, I mean, look at the reactions every week you're getting on Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown. How many more fans subscribe to the WWE Network on a daily basis as they watch all these pay-per-views, as they watch the archives? This has really affected the way the WWE is operated, because when you do that, you're basically welcoming in and embracing the fact that it's a TV show, and it's just that, a TV show. I'm done.
Frank, are you there? He's done.
Yes, I'm here. So basically what you're saying is that the network is pulling the curtain back a lot, and the fans are getting smarter. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, they're basically getting the sneak peek. They open the curtain, they get the preview, the sneak peek of what's going on. Then when they watch Raw and SmackDown the next night or the next week, boom, they already have an idea of what actually is going on.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so I'll pose this question to you, Lucas. If you were in charge right now, what would your first task be in WWE, or if you were just in charge of wrestling overall?
Well, if I was in charge, I would personally do away with this whole babyface and heel concept, because right now you don't really need it. I mean, it's become a huge issue with these fans thinking that somehow if the top babyface is getting booed, that person should turn heel. But then to counter that argument, the heels are getting cheered. So if someone is a bad babyface because they get booed, that means someone is also a bad heel because they're getting cheered. So what you want to do is do away with that, bring out the personality, have the wrestlers, dictate a little bit what their character is on TV. Of course, it's still going to be scripted, but you could do things off the cuff, be loosen up a little bit, and just don't play into the whole good guy versus bad guy thing. Basically just have these guys go out there, do their thing, entertain, let the fans have a kick-ass time when they're at the arenas. If they want to cheer, they want to boo, they could do whatever they want. But the fact is they're engaged, they're reacting, and it brings out a more reality aspect to the wrestling business when you do something like that. So that's the first thing I would do.
James?
I'm going to do two things. I'm going to give what I would do, and then I'm going to retort what he had to say. Number one,
you have 90 seconds.
If I was in charge, the top spots would be a meritocracy. You crack the top spot because you deserve it, not because someone backstage has a hard-on for your physique. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Lucas, you said it was a television show, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, guess what? Television shows are based on stories of good versus evil. That's heel and babyface. Now, you said that when a heel's getting cheered, that means he's not doing his job. Well, 9 times out of 10, that heel is getting cheered because the person that's playing the babyface in the ring sucks at his job. So what you do is you placate the characters to how the audience is reacting to them. That's what they did when their show was at their best. And you want to know why they stopped doing it? Because they have no competition pushing them. That's the reason that they stopped. Because if WCW was still around, Cena would have turned heel a long time ago, son.
James, well, you didn't really answer. What would you do?
I told you.
Right, he did. You did not answer. You did.
Hold on. Let him answer. Let him answer.
You didn't listen. I said it would be a meritocracy. The guys would crack the top spots because they deserve to, not just because someone backstage has a hard-on for how they look.
Frank,
that's shit.
Hold on. So James, what you just said is you don't believe that WWE is a meritocracy now?
It absolutely is not, because if it was a meritocracy, AJ Styles would be the top guy.
It's all preordained, you think, from the second?
If you've been watching the WWE since 2007, if you don't think it's an anti-meritocracy, you're unbearably naive.
Okay. So, James, and then I will follow up with this. What do you think is the biggest problem facing performers today, in your opinion?
The biggest problem facing the performers today right now is the fact that no matter how hard they work, no matter what happens, they are stuck in that same spot and they have no hope to rise up in the ranks. You've mentioned in the past how guys like Bray Wyatt come off as lazy, how guys like Ziggler become complacent. There is no going up the card. It's we stay here and then we fucking remain there. The guys don't get to rise up and like, who's main evented WrestleMania the last 4 years? There's been no rising up the top. It's ridiculous. If I'm a performer and I'm not getting better, even though I'm better than the guy that's at the top spot, what motivation do I have to work hard? I have none, because no matter what I do, I'm never going to get up there. It's like when Cena made that statement in that interview. I don't sink their ship. They fail to operate at an elite level. I would love to know what the people in that locker room thought of that statement, because I'm sure there were a lot of pissed off people with that, because it's a load of shit. Take the guy's momentum and you squash it when they're at their hottest, and then after 6 months when no one cares about them, you blame the performer. Real nice.
So other than you're saying that all the performers are basically stuck. They're not allowed freedom.
They're not given the freedom to be themselves. They are not given the opportunity to rise up in the ranks, and they're expected to just be happy to be there. That ain't how it works. You shouldn't just be happy to just be on WrestleMania. If you're better than the guy that's constantly getting the top spot and you're not getting those opportunities, you should be pissed off.
Okay.
If you're not, you're complacent and you don't. Stone Cold Steve
That's
Austin.
Hey, that's Pat.
Okay, hold on. I'm the moderator.
If you don't want the top spot, you don't belong there.
Okay, all right, very good, Jimmy. Lucas, yeah, you answer it. What's the biggest problem facing all performers, men and women, today, in your opinion?
What's the problem? Well,
what's the biggest problem facing the performers? Or do they have a problem? I don't know. You tell me. You tell the audience.
If the wrestlers and the performers did have a problem, it's not anything that Jimmy just said. What the problem is, it goes back to what I've been saying. Okay, these wrestlers, these performers, when they go out there, they're limited in terms of what they can do, but it has nothing to do with placement on the card or placement in their spot in the company or anything like that. What I mean by that is the way these characters are perceived on TV. Once again, good guy versus bad guy. You have so many of the same generic characters, and you also have too much of the same people, too much of the same breed, the same kind of performers on the main roster. And Jimmy says that, oh, it's all about the Roman Reigns and the John Cenas. But when you look at the roster right now, it is pretty much stacked with guys that came from NXT and the indie wrestling scene. I mean, that has pretty much been the roster for the last 5 years. The roster has been consumed by these talents that come from the indie scene and NXT. So when it comes to that, basically the problem is you have too much of the same people. And when you do that, how can WWE write for every single one of them? They're not all going to have a storyline. They can't all be placed at a high spot when you have too many of the same guys running into each other. They're all identical. You can only take 5 or 6 out of those 20 that are on each roster and basically do something with them. And I think that's what the problem is right now.
So basically you're saying in WWE there's too many talented wrestlers who are pretty much the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and they don't do anything to change it up themselves.
Why is that a problem? How is that a problem?
It's a problem because if you're going to compete, if you want variety within your product, within the company, these guys have to stand out.
But who's responsible for this?
You tell me.
I'm asking you. All right. Okay. We'll move along to the next question. James, as a fan, what makes you gravitate towards one performer over another?
What makes me gravitate to a performer over another, first of all, is their work ethic, number one. Number two, it's their ability to actually connect with the crowd the way their character is designed to, if they're actually capable of doing it. When a character is supposed to be presented one way and they're incapable of getting the correct reaction, it makes me want nothing to do with them because it's telling me they can't do their job correctly. And then when I see the company have to move mountains for them to get that type of reaction, they basically have to have their hand held. I have even less respect for them because it shows that they have no professional pride. That's why I gravitate more to someone like a Bray Wyatt, who's a good worker, a good talker, has a great character. Problem is, he's lost too many high-profile matches for anyone to take him seriously. You're not going to believe anyone who says, hey, Wolf is coming. every day and nothing comes. But then the one time it does come, you're not going to believe a word he says. So when he says run, no one has a reason to run because every time he fights in a big match, he loses. And who's responsible for that? The people that make the decisions of who wins, not him. So, and I gravitate more to a guy like Daniel Bryan because you could genuinely tell he's a good dude. You could genuinely tell he loves what he does. And number three, you could tell he's not just in it for the money and that he has pride in his work, which is more than I could say for the Breakfast Club.
Does winning and losing have an effect on you?
It absolutely does. Because when a guy loses too many times in big high-profile matches, that tells me the company don't give a shit about them. And when a guy is winning high-profile match after high-profile match, you could tell the company gives a shit.
Well, I'm saying this is in your individual opinion, so you gravitate towards the winners more than the losers?
It's not that I gravitate towards the winners. I gravitate towards the good performers. That's what I gravitate more towards. The wins and losses matter to me in the aspect of I feel bad for the wrestlers that are talented that get booked like shit. That's what I think of. But the ones that I gravitate towards are the performers, whether they're big, whether they're small, whether or not they can do their job.
Okay.
And the guys that can't do their job shouldn't be rewarded.
Okay, very good. Lucas, the question is for you. What makes you as a fan gravitate towards one performer over another?
Who Vince tells him to like.
What gravitates me towards one wrestler over another? Well, that's
wait. What was that, Jimmy?
I said whoever Vince tells him to like.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lucas.
That's pretty much it. That's all I can think of.
First of all, you said Bray Wyatt has work ethic. That's funny. But anyway, let me get back to my point here.
Watch him.
You had your chance to talk. Let the king speak.
Speak.
Yes. Anyway, what gravitates me towards one wrestler over another? The answer is simple. If they can entertain me, if they can tell a story, a proper story, and they engage me into that story and invest me into a big pay-per-view match or a big pay-per-view payoff. And the way you entertain me is by excellent mic skills in the ring, having the excellent promo ability to tell a story, and in the matches as well. In-ring psychology is a huge part of it. And I don't just mean wrestling, technical wrestling, you know, these spots that they do. That's not a story to me. I'm talking about contact, connection with the fans, knowing how to rile up the fans, knowing how to pump up the fans. This all is part of in-ring psychology in a match. That's how you tell a story. If you can also do your job in terms of being able to pick up the slack, and I've known many wrestlers that can do that over the years, when something seems like it's dead and they know how to get everyone back invested, that's very easy to tell when wrestlers can do that. But the key thing that I respect the most about performers that draw me towards them is entertainment. If they can entertain me.
Who's an example of what you just described?
Who is an example? Okay, I can use Daniel Bryan. I can even use Roman Reigns himself. I can use both of them. I'm not a mark like this guy Jimmy thinks for Vince McMahon. I have many different wrestlers that I can name that entertain me on a weekly basis, and they're mixed, and they're a variety.
Okay, but specifically right now, recently is Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. James, go ahead, you next. What you called? Do you have anything to say about that?
I don't begrudge anybody for having a favorite wrestler or liking a particular person. We have a guy on the page named Travis who's the biggest John Cena fan I know. Do you know how many arguments he and I have had since he joined the page in 2014? An astounding 0. You know why he and I have never had an argument? Because he never tries to tell me that John Cena is a bigger star than Hulk Hogan. Because liking someone and thinking someone is cool is an opinion.
Okay.
Everyone's entitled to that. But if you're going to sit there and tell me, as a football fan, that someone like Joe Flacco is better than Ray Lewis, you're a clown. If you're going to sit there and tell me that John Cena is a bigger star than The Rock, we have a problem, because that's just not true.
Okay. All right.
That's what I have a problem with. Not if you like someone. It's if you're going to sit there and tell me that July is the coldest month of the year. That's where I have a problem. Because you're basically insulting my intelligence.
Okay. All right, James. That's just a rebuttal. Okay. So, Lucas, in your opinion, should the top guy or the face of the company... Hold on a minute. I lost the question here. Oh, what in your opinion, what should the top guy or the face of the company possess as far as qualities in order to succeed?
Yeah, like I said earlier, you definitely got to have the it factor. You got to
And
be able.
describe it. Describe
Yeah,
what are these qualities?
yeah, that's what I'm going to get into. So you have to be able to tell a story. You have to have the mic skills. You have to have the charisma. You need to have a mean streak. If you don't have a mean streak, you're not going to be the top guy. If you go out there and you're complacent with performing in the ring and that's all you can do, you don't you don't deserve to be the top guy. The top guy is somebody who has the quality of having a mean streak and basically going out there doing what he's told and not being afraid of the reaction. If you can do that, you're the top guy, and you're going to draw the company the most money that way. You're going to get the most reaction that way. You're going to be talked about the most. You're going to draw in publicity and the most the most publicity, the most media attention, the buzz that is needed to be the top guy in the WWE. If you can accomplish that, then you're set. You're on the right path of staying at the top of the mountain in the WWE, because it's not just about wrestling matches. It's not just about work ethic. It's about money at the end of the day. WWE, the way they survive is profit. Okay. that's what it's all about, Jimmy. That it's not about everyone works the same when it comes to the WWE, but it's a matter of who is the most attractive, who is the most attractive star. Okay, and there's many ways to be the most attractive star in the WWE.
Okay, all right, thank you, Lucas. James, I'll pass it on to you. In your opinion, what are the qualities that the top guy or quote the face of the company should have, the face of a wrestling promotion?
You really only need one thing in order to be the face of the company.
Well, you tell us.
You don't have to be the best wrestler. You don't have to be the best talker. You don't have to be the biggest. You need one thing. You need to be able to connect with your audience. You need to be able to do your job. If your job is to go out there and be the hero, the crowd has to love you. And if your job is to go out there and be the villain, the crowd is supposed to hate you. And if you don't believe me, tell that to Hulk Hogan. Tell that to Stone Cold. Tell that to The Rock. 3 guys that actually did their job. The job that John Cena failed to do because with his time at the top, they lost 50% of their overall viewing audience. And you can shake your head all you want, kid. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. They didn't grow their audience. It went down. You know why?
It went down, really?
Yes, it did. Their viewership, their freaking live event attendance. Look at the loss. Look at the loss in domestic viewership here in the U.S. Look at the loss of net profits, especially when adjusted for inflation.
Okay, James, stick to the topic. I
am sticking to the topic.
No, you're not.
The topic is you have to connect with the audience. Something that CM Punk was able to do. He outsold everyone in merchandise, but the WWE made sure to take care of that right away.
Right, briefly, you have 30 seconds.
You have to connect with the crowd, and if you
describe what connecting to the crowd.
Connecting to the crowd is they have to actually want to see you. You're the top guy in the company. You're the top baby face. The crowd has to want to see you. They have to want to see you succeed. They have to be willing to be behind you, and all you should have to do to get them on your side is walk through that curtain. And if you need to have your hand held, you don't belong in that spot. So period.
You just mentioned that the top guy or the face should be a baby face.
Absolutely.
Only a baby face. Heels.
The only time the WWE had a heel as the top guy was Triple H, and that was where the decline started.
Okay.
Fact.
All right. Vince McMahon and WWE have been a babyface champion company forever.
Yes, but the key is those baby faces from the past that I mentioned were actually over.
Okay. All right, so the next question. Do you feel that when WWE with such a deep, talented roster, you think they should have a face of the company with such a deep roster?
Is this for me or Jimmy?
This is for Jimmy. And if so, who was that in your opinion?
First of all, I think that constantly pointing to the face of the company is stupid. It should be all about who the champion is. The best times in the business was all about who the champion was. It wasn't about who the face of the brand was, because I feel it takes away from the title.
Well, I think back then, before we fans were smartened up, the champion was the face of the company, I guess, right?
In a way, it depended. Sometimes it went around. Like at WrestleMania 13, Taker won the title. He wasn't the #1 guy in the company. That was Bret Hart. But the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, you could have a spokesperson, a face of the brand, but they also shouldn't be placed above the title. If your champion right now is AJ Styles and your main event is Roman Reigns versus Hornswoggle, that's a problem. That's a problem. Your champion should always be in the main event unless you have a legend who is retiring, like the retirement of someone like a Shawn Michaels, like a Ric Flair, an Undertaker. That I can understand. But when you're CM Punk, the WWE champion, and you're playing second fiddle to Johnny Ace versus John Cena, there is a problem at hand.
I'm saying right now, I think we could all agree.
Right now, the face of the company should be AJ Styles. It's not even a question.
Why?
Selling the most merchandise. He gets the loudest babyface reaction out of anyone until Daniel Bryan came back. And the people connect with him. What more do you need? He makes you money and he puts on great matches and the people love to see him. I really don't know what else you could ask for in a top guy.
Okay, is that it?
Unless you're a muscle mark.
Okay, all right, Lucas. I'll repeat the question. Today, we could all agree WWE has such a deep, talented roster. Do you feel that they should just rely on and label somebody a top guy? And if so, who is that person in your opinion?
They absolutely should still rely on a top guy in the WWE. That's the way the business model has worked since, day one of Vince McMahon's vision. We talk about Hulk Hogan in the 80s. We talk about Hulk Hogan in the 90s. Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The list goes on and on. And by the way, Jimmy, it's funny you talked about the only time there should be a main event for WrestleMania where the main event doesn't involve the title is if there's a retirement. Didn't you say last year when The Undertaker was retiring that, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar was going to be the main event at WrestleMania? But anyway, that's beside the point. Let me finish.
That's what the rumors were.
That's
they changed that day.
Hey, let me finish. There absolutely should be a top guy.
Failing big time.
Hey, Frank, you see this? Anyway,
James, let him speak.
There absolutely should be a top guy because it's the way the business formula is structured. It's the way business has worked for the WWE, and it has proven to be a success. You need a top guy because in order to be able to tell stories and produce with other names, you need to revolve around that one guy in which everyone can face and make name out of and build their reputation, build their publicity, build their mainstream representation on television. And in order to do that, you need to have a top guy because he becomes a target. You have many people that come after you. It creates storylines in terms of underdog versus top guy in the company. It's just common sense. You need a top guy. Without a top guy and you're just playing hot potato with the title every month or whatever, how are you going to identify or connect with a certain star if every month you're flipping the script, you're changing it up,
Okay. So what you're saying is that they should have one person to get the focus on. Okay. All right. So Lucas, and we're coming up to this is the last question, official question, and I'll give it to you. So the question is, why do you think Vince McMahon and WWE seem to display a cavalier attitude when it comes to their supposed hand-chosen ones being booed consistently and strongly?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Why do you think Vince McMahon and WWE seem to demonstrate a cavalier approach with their top supposed chosen guys when they're being booed so consistently and strongly?
Because it's business. In order for them, hey, I'm just getting started here. It's just business. You create attraction, you create buzz to the product. You have these fans who show up at the arenas. They're vocal, they're loud, they buy tickets every single week. So when their baby faces are not getting cheered, it really doesn't matter because the business has changed. It's not really about the reaction of a baby face anymore. What it is about is making money. When you have the audience there reacting, that's all that really matters. If they're being reacted to, if they're vocal, if the fans are loud and they're vocal and they're buying tickets and they're watching online and they're eager to see what's going to happen next and they're watching on a daily basis, what's going to happen next with Roman Reigns? What's going to happen next with John Cena? WWE has you in the palm of their hands. You're in their pocket. Okay, that's the way business works. Okay, so when a baby face is getting cheered or booed, it doesn't matter. The business is all about keeping that guy at the top because he's accomplishing what WWE wants. That is buzz, that is publicity, and that is money. If the fans are buying tickets to boo or to cheer, and they're the most loudest for a guy like Roman Reigns or John Cena, guess what? They should be staying at the top because one way or another, they're staying at that level and they're not competing with somebody else who's beneath them who's getting the same reaction.
So that you in fact think that WWE has a cavalier attitude, that when they hear these fans booing their supposed chosen guys?
No, that's not a cavalier approach at all, because I'll tell you, here's how it would be a cavalier approach. If the fans were just sitting on their asses, they were sitting on their hands and not reacting, and they don't want to watch this at all, and they're getting up from their seats, that's a cavalier approach. But guess what? The fans are sticking to their seats, and they're standing up when Roman Reigns or a John Cena is in the ring. So whether they cheer or boo, they're staying there throughout the entire night. They stay there through the entire match, and that's what a top guy is supposed to do. Is settle the fans in.
James, will be the last rebuttal officially, and I'll repeat the question again to you.
I know what the question is. You don't have to repeat it. I'll save you time. And in answering, I'm going to steal a line from the latest Star Wars movie. That's wonderful because everything you just said was 100% wrong.
Explain why.
In a conceivable way. Because first of all, even though you don't think the babyface and heel dynamics matter, to the WWE, it does matter. To them, it does matter. Because when guys like Michael Cole go on television the night after WrestleMania, the night after Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker, and has to look into the camera and say, listen, folks, don't pay attention to the live crowd because they're booing who they normally cheer. That tells you right there, they do give a shit about the heel and babyface dynamics. They do care. Because they want him to be the top babyface. And you're laughing because you know that you're fucking wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Why would they say that? Why would they splice up the footage when Roman Reigns lost the U.S. title and the guy was jumping up and down happy, but then the next week they showed the same guy with his hands on his head like he was upset? Why do they have to splice up the footage? Why do they have to edit out the boos? They do care about the babyface and heel dynamics, which is why they do those things. But what the problem is, because they don't have WCW around anymore to hold a gun to their fucking heads, they think they don't have to listen to the crowd. And it is clear by their drop in viewership. It is clear by their drop in live event attendance. It is clear by the fact that you have more fans than ever that are more pissed off than they've ever been watching this product, and how the fan base, millions of fans have gone to MMA and other forms of entertainment, that this whole idea of ignoring the crowd, eventually those people go from booing to doing this. That's what they end up doing.
That's not what they're doing at all.
It is what they're doing if you look at the ratings. It is what they're doing if you look at their pay-per-view numbers, to the point where they had to go to a network where they charge a fraction of the price.
Frank, am I allowed to rebuttal after this?
Yes, James's time is up, and Lucas, you have 90 seconds.
Okay, first of all, what you just said is completely wrong. They're doing exactly. You brought up the example about Michael Cole. Okay, Michael Cole does that. Guess what? That's part of the way they attract. That's part of the way they entertain.
That's not attracting anyone.
They're
a regular person at home.
They have you in the palm of their hand.
Let them answer.
As long as they're watching, as long as they're staying there when they buy the tickets and they're in their seats, as long as people continue to watch and pour money into the company, they can say whatever the hell they want on TV because it's working and it's not affecting them at all. That's why they say such ridiculous statements like bizarro world, because guess what? It is a bizarro world if the crowd stays there and they're booing somebody as opposed to actually getting out of their seats and going home. Guess what? It's a reaction. That's all that matters. Money is being made. It's a profit. WWE makes business that way. Do you understand that? Okay. And second of all, what you just said about the babyface and heel dynamic, I don't know. You're stuck on the 90s. You're stuck on the 80s and the 90s. And you're stuck in the past. You're stuck in the past. You're bringing up WCW. You're bringing up WCW. You said the fans are going to MMA. What the hell does MMA have to do with this? MMA is not even a competitor to WWE. You have Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, the biggest draws who, when they fight in UFC, made the UFC the most money. And guess what? Brock Lesnar was a WWE household name. Okay, and when he goes to UFC, he breaks records there. Then you have Ronda Rousey coming to WWE, and guess what? She's all over the media. She's all over ESPN. She's all over every news outlet. And guess what? She's bringing in fans from MMA. So what you just said is a ridiculous statement.
Hold on.
What you just said is a ridiculous statement because MMA has nothing to do with WWE. Brock Lesnar is a draw in the WWE, and when he goes to MMA, he kicks ass there, and he makes them the most money.
All right, Lucas, hold on. James.
Ronda Rousey has nothing to do.
James, hold on. You got
the top spot.
James, hold on. I'm giving you 1 minute to rebut, and then we'll go to the last question.
Ronda Rousey has zero to do with John Cena being pounded into the top spot for over a decade, where you had a guy like CM Punk who was outselling him in merchandise, was cutting better promos, was having better matches, but yet the WWE did everything in their power to sabotage the guy. And I don't even fucking like Punk, and I can admit that. Then you take a guy like Daniel Bryan, who got himself massively over. WWE tried to turn him heel by putting him with the fucking Wyatts. They tried to squash that. They were going to have him job to Sheamus 6th match down, and they were going to close with Batista versus Orton. I would love to see you make excuses.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
For them closing WrestleMania 30 with Batista and Orton after the streak ended the way it did. Good luck with that. The fact of the matter is they are an entertainment business, and they have been losing customers since they started ignoring them. And guess what? You shouldn't wait till they're all gone to put your best foot forward as a business.
Oh, all right, James, thank you. Okay, so we'll end it with this. Lucas.
Wasn't even a debate.
Oh, okay, hold on.
It wasn't even about the subject we were talking about.
Okay, yes, well, yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Well, I'll be the judge of that. Okay, this is the last question. You have a minute and a half. Why were you so passionate about being involved in this debate? And you could also include a couple of your closing thoughts.
Is this for me?
Yes, Lucas.
Okay, why was I passionate about being part of this debate? Because Jimmy needs to understand where he's wrong about the company and the business. He has this vision where he thinks his vision is the only vision that matters, and he's delusional for that, and he's stuck in the past for that. Okay, you don't know more than Vince McMahon. You don't know more than WWE. Vince McMahon was the engineer. He was the operator of what sports entertainment is. You're stuck in pro wrestling. Vince McMahon has evolved the business into sports entertainment. There's two words there. It's not just wrestling. It's sports and entertainment. And that's what you don't grasp. You're stuck in fantasy land. You're not wanting to pay attention to reality. You refuse to acknowledge the reality of the situation. And that's why you have a problem with the way the business is operated right now. And I needed to tell you that to your face. I needed to get that point across because I don't think you seem to grasp it. That's why I wanted to be part of this debate. Oh, and another thing, if Frank can allow me to plug my podcast here, is that okay? And my Twitter?
Who cares?
I don't know. I'm asking you, Frank.
Christ only knows where he went.
I said, Lucas, I'll give the plugs afterwards. Are you done with your rebuttal?
Yes.
James, you got 90 seconds.
Why
were you so passionate about being involved in this debate?
Because I thought that we were going to be strictly discussing the babyface and heel dynamics.
That's what we did.
We barely touched on it.
All right. Well, we don't have.
That's fine.
Maybe we'll have. Okay. Maybe we'll have a second debate. But for now, go ahead.
Because I wanted to reveal to the live audience how ridiculous it is that Lucas actually believes that in a TV show, the dynamic of good versus evil doesn't matter. It conveniently doesn't matter because the McMahon hand-chosen favorites are not getting the design reaction. Because when your top babyface is pretty much your top heel, that's not good. And stop pretending like it is. Because the fact remains, if the people don't like the guy in the top spot and he's done nothing but be crammed down their throats, eventually those people go from booing the guy to turning it off. And if you check the ratings and if you check the viewership, that's what people have done. That's exactly what they've done. Because their voices are being silenced, because the WWE has no direct competition, they feel they could do whatever they want. And at the end of the day, they are a business. They can't do whatever they want because long term.
James, you keep citing these declining ratings and low attendance. Do you have any evidence that?
All you have to do, you could check the ratings yourself. They're in the public forum.
Can I rebut to this, Frank? I rebut?
No, let him speak.
Anyone could check the ratings. Anyone could see that they used to get 7s, 8s. They're lucky they get 3s these days. And they have to get guys like The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and Bill Goldberg to pop a number. Do you realize what that means? That means they did a piss-poor job of building their stars because they were so focused on pushing guys like Cena and Orton down everyone's throats, and now Roman Reigns, they could give a shit less about the rest of the roster.
Okay. All right, James, thank you. Lucas, I'll give you 45 seconds, and then we'll close it out.
All right. Yeah, good thing you asked that, Frank, about the ratings, because he's spewing off about ratings like he knows on the back of a hand what's going on with the ratings. And yeah, they may be going down, whatever. But I already pointed out to you.
Do you have any? Do you have any specific evidence that the ratings haven't changed?
What I want to say is that ratings don't affect the company right now because we have the digital world.
Why?
We have the digital world, okay? You can find Raw, you can find SmackDown on YouTube. You can go back and watch it on the network. There's so many different ways to watch wrestling right now. It's not just on TV. Hell, even DVR. You could DVR it if you're working. Come home, you watch it on DVR. A lot of people do that. You don't have to watch it live, okay, Jimmy? You got to use your brain here. There's many ways to watch the product. It's not just sitting through 3 hours live.
All right.
Ratings in the last 3 years.
Okay, hold on. Listen, we ran out of time. I guess
I think so.
Well,
why has the NBA done record high ratings?
Okay, listen. Hold on. Listen, both of you. Thank you. You guys made a lot of good points. You answered the questions. Maybe we'll consider this the first round, just to sort of get our feet wet, and if necessary, we'll decide and we'll have a second debate. Then maybe we could ask more specific questions. But that'll do it. And Lucas, go ahead, give your plug quickly.
Sure. You can follow me on Twitter at LucasRojas27. And you can also check out my brand new podcast, as well as check out any columns I do. I'm officially featured on DoubleGSports.com as a staff contributor there. I'll be covering wrestling and pro wrestling, wrestling and sports on WGSports.com through podcasts and columns. The podcast is called The Loudmouth Perspective, so you can go ahead and check it out on there, DoubleGSports.com.
Okay, thank you very much. James, do you want to give anything out? Or
I don't have a show anymore, so I have nothing to promote.
Okay, this Christian want to promote anything?
Do I want to plug something?
Yeah.
The Collective podcast is going live on Friday.
Yeah, where that I want. I'm curious. Well, what is that all about? I said
it's movies, music, just stuff like that. That's what we're going to be talking about.
And this is with the good sir Gerard Lucci.
Yeah, Gerard Uselli, myself. We're going to have guests. We're going to have interviews with filmmakers and musicians across the island.
How do we find this? Where do we find it?
You just go on the Collective Caputo Collective Facebook page, Collective Podcast Facebook page, on Twitter and on YouTube.
Okay, and when are these podcasts?
First episode is dropping on Friday.
What time?
Noon.
Okay, all right. So thank you. All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up. Again, we'll look over the footage. We'll let the people decide. I'll look it over, and I'm pretty sure maybe we'll have a second round if everybody could behave, okay?
Oh, I know I behaved.
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys, and I'll post this ASAP, okay?
See, Jimmy, it wasn't too bad, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's keep okay, everybody have a good night, a safe weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Good night, Jimmy.
Fuck you, Lucas.